Hi everyone, I'm Karnika Mishra, and for my project management investigation assignment, I interviewed David Matthews, who is a senior training and development manager at Cathexis, which is a management consulting firm that partners with the federal government. David has recently completed his degree in Masters of Science in Management and Leadership and has spent many years in telecommunications, technology, and US government industries. He currently leads the entire curriculum development team of about 20 people, which consists of instructional designers, curriculum developers, graphic designers, analysts, tech editors, compliance specialists, and so on. His team is responsible for the development and revisions of multiple curricula and modalities such as live classroom, virtual classroom, web based training, blended learning, etc., for a global audience of 200,000 transitioning service members annually. For David, project management is all about constant vigilance. When asked about his project management approach, he said that it's all about making sure that people have what they need to do by the due date. And if they are not going to make it by the due date, then it's our responsibility to figure out what are the places that we can flex. He compared this process to a slinky, where certain deliverables need to be pushed to compress the remainder of the timeline. However, he also emphasized on the need to identify the immovable objects or non negotiables. He emphasized that if something is compressing against the immovable objects like a slinky, it's his job as a project manager to see how long they can compress that spring. And if it reaches a point where it just won't compress anymore, then he has to predict what else he can do. In such situations, he would ask questions like: do we have to add additional resources? Do we have to extend the timelines? Etc. As a project manager, he also realized that everybody has different working styles. While some employees work efficiently when they see the big picture, there are some who only focus on the tasks assigned to them. According to him, this happens because people are hardwired in a certain way. And as a project manager, he thinks that it's his job to marry these two working styles together for a better collaboration. David feels like his team has a great working relationship with the federal government since they have delivered multiple successful learning experiences over the years, due to which the requests or briefs that his team receives in the contracts at macro level don't come as a surprise to them. And most of his team's focus is mainly on making those learning experiences more engaging and interactive for the learners. David said that a lot of projects are flattening now. Now, that was a new term for me. When I researched it, I discovered that it's a new buzzword in town. He explained that in a flattening organizational workflow, each individual contributor gets more autonomy, where they don't need to be micromanaged anymore. It impacts in a way that there are several more direct reports per manager than there used to be earlier. But that's not a pain point at all because it functions really well with agile methodology. He explained it further by telling me that in an ideal scenario, on each day of the sprint, the teams can hold a daily Scrum meeting called Daily Scrum, where they can discuss tasks assigned, tasks pending, iteration backlog, risks, and so on. However, David's team decided to use a more customizable Agile approach, where he jokingly calls Agile adjacent, where they try to blend some of the elements of Agile into their workflow. He told me that they made this decision because they can't directly supervise too many people working on different IST models and stay on the same page. They have a very stacked organizational structure which doesn't blend itself to daily scrums. As a result, they hold weekly scrum sessions and update their Asana boards on a weekly basis. As a result, iterations occur on a weekly rather than daily basis. David also told me something very interesting, that the government follows a waterfall method. So they can go as agile as they want to, but as consultants, they can't change the way their stakeholders do business. So, to come to a common ground, his team uses agile approaches for their micro level workflows, which really makes their process more efficient. But the entire project follows a waterfall method. During his project management process, David likes to use tools like Asana, Gantt chart, Microsoft Projects, and Microsoft Planner. For David, experience, observation, and education have played the biggest role in teaching him the skills of project management. David doesn't like ignoring what his team has to say and constantly tries to ask them some key questions like, what resources do you need to complete this? What are your constraints? What are the risks involved? Etc. He told me about a time where his team had to compress timelines on one of their biggest projects. They decided to go to the micro level Gantt chart and use backwards design to identify the constraints and risks. They went from identifying immovable objects and worked backwards. He further explained that if there were days that they could compress or take two tasks that were consecutive, they made them concurrent. Through this, they were able to shave off 2 weeks of their project plan to meet their stakeholders' expectations. David believes that the most efficient way to learn project management is by learning a project management tool. He explained that the rules and methodologies already exist, and if new instructional designers or project managers can master one PM tool, they'll make mistakes, be successful, and learn the principal components of project management along the way without taking certifications from the get go. In terms of recent trends, David says that data analytics is everything. He also told me that they have virtual strategy sessions and they rely heavily now on cloud based applications for project planning. When I asked David about the change management strategies that his company used during COVID and what they do to keep their employees motivated, he told me that we have to consciously make that happen. Communication and engagement, according to him, are the two most important things that can keep the employees motivated. They play Wordly, they play Virtual Pictionary, and they also have some team contests where they throw a funsy and the entire team comes together to play those games and feel engaged and motivated. After my conversation with David, I recognized that project management is essentially about getting the work done and on time. I could also see how communication plays a crucial role in this entire process, and that if communication strategies are successfully executed, they can play a significant role in maintaining collaboration and boosting the team's motivation levels, which benefits in more ways than one. Since David's team employs customized versions of Agile and Waterfall, I've recognized that organizations customize strategies and approaches to their own needs. And it's all about figuring out what works best for you. This is one of my most important takeaways, and it has taught me that when I am managing a project, I must first conduct a detailed analysis of the current situation, the organization's and stakeholders' needs, and the beliefs of my team members before preparing a strategy that best fits the organization. Thanks a lot for viewing the presentation.